ሰላም ይብዛላችሁ ክብራትና ክብራን ቤተሰቦቻችን
Oh with you my life is so much better
History of Ethiopia for grade 12 students by Bittiglit Imam Star Academy Ottawa Black Victory Digital Library History Research Center Emperor Menelik II R 1889 to 1913 the shift of the political center from the north to Shua. Although Emperor Yohannes IV had designated Ras Menesha as his heir and successor, it was Negus Menelik of Shua who formally inherited the throne from Emperor Yohannes IV. As mentioned already, the pioneer of the modern Ethiopian state formation was Emperor Tewodros II. But Tewodros could not achieve his goals of national unification. Emperor Yohannes IV was somewhat successful in building an empire where regional hereditary rulers enjoyed the right of internal autonomy. Nevertheless, the process of the Ethiopian empire's formation was not completed. Negus Menelik of Shua, who crowned himself King of the Kings of Ethiopia in 1889, learned from the experiences and failures of his predecessors and made a great effort to complete the national unification process. During the reign of Emperor Menelik II, the size of the old Christian kingdom grew by more than double and, thanks to the remarkable victory the Ethiopians scored over the Italian forces at Adwa in 1896, Ethiopia got her first internationally recognized modern boundaries. The main features of the reign of Emperor Menelik II included, 1. Large-scale territorial expansion. He extended the territory of the Shawan kingdom to the south, southwest, and southeastern Ethiopia. 2. Defending the country against colonial by mobilizing the entire Ethiopian population. 3. The process of modernization in Ethiopia that was begun by Emperor Tewodros. 3.3. Territorial expansion and the incorporation of kingdoms. People's reaction to the policy of centralization. Territorial expansions by the kings of the Central Highland Kingdom were common even in the medieval period. For instance, King Amd Sion had embarked on a major territorial expansion. Southwestern, and southeastern territories of present-day Ethiopia. When Menelik was king of Shua, he began to expand his territory. Ethiopian export commodities such as ivory, gold, civet, coffee, and even slaves were mostly obtained in these for him, appears to have attempted to gain from the natural wealth of southwestern his aim of extending into this fertile region. He worked hard to improve the quantity and quality of his weaponry. Menelik also wanted to control the long-distance trade in southern and southwestern Ethiopia. Menelik's territorial expansion had 3 phases. The first covered the period from 1870 to 1889, the second stage was conducted between 1889 and 1896. The last stage of the expansion was carried out between 1896 and 1900. Negus Menelik of Shua began his territorial expansion while he was the king of Shua in the 1870s. The first to be incorporated by Negus Menelik of Shua in the early 1870s were the Oromo clans of Shua. Then the forces of Shua got the peaceful submission of the Kistane Gurage people, who were predominantly Christians. The people of southern Gurage gave the forces of King Menelik stiff resistance organized under their leader Hassan Njamo, who was from the people of Kabina. This area was subdued by the forces of Ras Gobina Dachi only in 1888, after 10 years of resistance. Southwestern Ethiopia, which is very rich in natural resources, was a bone of contention between Negus Menelik of Shua and Negus Tekel Haimanot of Gajajam. In fact, Emperor Yohannes IV had allowed Negus Tekel Haimanot of Gajajam to expand in that direction and stopped Menelik's expansion in southwestern Ethiopia. Nevertheless, the two kings went to war, and in the subsequent battle fought at Mbabo on June 6, 1882, the forces of Menelik defeated Haimanot's forces. The Shawan victory over the forces of Gajajam at the Battle of Mbabo gave Negus Menelik the opportunity to expand towards southwestern Ethiopia. After the Battle of Mbabo, the local rulers of the kingdoms of southwestern Ethiopia, the 5 Oromo kingdoms in the Jibe region and the Lika states in Wolaga were persuaded to accept peaceful submission to the forces of Negus Menelik and incorporation into the Shawan kingdom. In return for their peaceful submission, Negus Menelik recognized the internal administrative autonomy of these kingdoms. King Abba Jifar of Jimma, Yotulu of Lika Kelem and Kumsa Morda of Lika Nekomp belong to the list of local rulers who submitted peacefully to Menelik in the years between 1882 and 1884. The campaigns of expansion of the forces of Negus Menelik in the southern and southeastern regions were not as strong as the resistance in Arsai, Woleta, and Kaifa. In these areas, the people put up a stiff resistance to the Shawan forces. The Arsai Oromo gave the Shawan forces a very stiff resistance. The Shevn forces had to make 6 unsuccessful military campaigns to incorporate Arsai. In some of these campaigns launched to incorporate Arsai, Negus Menelik himself personally took part. Finally, after 4 years of brave fighting, the Arsai Oromo were defeated in 1886 at the Battle of Azul. The well-armed and militarily better experienced Shawan forces that finally defeated the forces of the Arsai Oromo were led by Ras Jarj, the uncle of Menelik. In the Arsai campaign, the Oromo general Ras Gobina Dachi, who had a significant role in the early campaigns of Negus Menelik's territorial expansion, had taken part as a military commander of the forces of Negus Menelik. The Arsai campaign was one of the bloody campaigns that claimed the lives of many people. Unlike the rulers of southwestern Ethiopia, who peacefully submitted to the forces of Menelik, the rulers of the Arsai Oromo were not granted internal administration. They were removed from their positions and replaced by governors appointed by the Shawans. Arsai served as a stepping stone for Menelik's expansion into the Emirate of Harar. The Emirate of Harar was subdued by the forces of Shua under Menelik after a bloody battle fought between the armies of Menelik and Emir Abdullahi at a place called Chilenko on January 6, 1887. His success at the Chilenko battle enabled Negus Menelik of Shua to control the eastern commercial town of Harar and gave him full control of the long-distance trade route. In the Chilenko battle, not only the Harari forces but also the Oromo people fought against the forces of Shua under Negus Menelik. Chilenko, the main battleground of the war, is about 90 kilometers from Harar's historic walled city. This victory brought an end to the independent existence of the Emirate of Harar. After the incorporation of Harar in 1887, Menelik did not launch campaigns of territorial expansion in any direction until the Woleta campaign of 1894, mainly because of the Great Famine in Ethiopia, which lasted from 1888 to 1892 and was known as Kefuken. The Kefuken had severely affected the country, particularly the northern and central regions of Ethiopia.